ladies and gentlemen. Please rise. Welcome to this regular meeting of the Temple City Council, April 7th, 2011. I do not see Pastor Robbins here this evening. Pastor Crosley, could I get you to lead us in invocation this evening?
Father God, thank you for this day, for thy bountiful blessings, for the city of Temple, for all the leaders and all of the citizens. We pray your blessings upon this meeting today, O God. Give us wisdom and understanding, and proceed for the betterment of all. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Great. And young ladies, would you come and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Face the flag. Oh, they were. I'm sorry. Okay, I thought you were going to stop.
Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sorry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry about that. Again, welcome to this evening's council meeting. The first item on our agenda is to receive comments regarding distemper of dogs in the animal shelter. This is a public appearance, so this is a scheduled item, and Ms. Linda Berg is going to be presenting this evening. So, Ms. Berg, if you'll come forward to the podium.
I'm nervous, so bear with me. I've never done this before. If the animal shelter would quarantine, give examinations, vaccinations, every animal that comes into the shelter, they would not contaminate the others with rabies, parvovirus, distemper, heartworms, and other diseases. This should be done before they are adopted. I believe the people who adopt these animals would not mind the added cost because they would be knowing they would have a healthy pet. We adopted Bailey on March 26th, and she expired on the 28th from advanced distemper. There were 3 other dogs adopted on that very same day, and they had incurable distemper, and Dr. Gosney had to put them to sleep. In the 3 days that we had Bailey, we took care of her every needs. She had good food, warm bed and blankets. She sat on the swing with me and watched the sunset. And I know for the first time in her life, this is a great dog. She said, this is heaven on earth for me, because we live upon 30 acres, and I know she just couldn't believe she was there. I love APAC, SPCA, and many others, and they really care about these animals, and they want the very best for them. Things need to change at all the animal shelters. How long do these precious animals have to wait before something is done? The only difference between animals and humans is a voice, and they depend on us. The shelters should provide the necessary medical and dental care that the animals need, and then pass it on to the adopter. The animals should be pain-free, and many are not. They have to live with pain that would be unbearable for us to live with. Helping these animals would be the humane thing to do. Many people have no concern for their pain, their suffering, their mental anguish. I am sure these animals feel their situation is hopeless. Humans have rights, and animals should too. They feel and think just like we do. People should never have to be concerned about the health of an animal they are about to adopt. Give them a guarantee and a peace of mind. Then more animals will be adopted to loving homes. God knows they deserve it. Any organization or individual who wants to volunteer their time because they love animals should be able to go into the shelter and care for these animals because there is need and it is free. And if it's a money issue, veterinarians in the area could offer their services free. Why not ask them? They make a lot of money off of you and me. The students studying to be veterinarians at the university could practice their skills at the shelter. It could be part of their training. SPCA International provides financial support to the animal organizations across the U.S. and worldwide. There are options. Just please consider what I have said. No dog should have to die like Bailey died. I almost couldn't get up here today because I started crying before I did. We adopt animals because we love them, and we don't want to see them suffer. And for the 3 days we had Bailey, she suffered. We did everything we could possibly do. We took her to the hospital on Sunday, and they gave her a week's worth of medicine, not recognizing the distemper that she had, and it was advanced. Also, I want to make a point. APAC, like I said, is a wonderful organization, and they got Bailey out of the shelter. And APAC had her shots 3 days before she was adopted out. Now, APAC has changed their policy, and they are going to put time between the adoption and the vaccinations. But the doctor on 8th Street, they gave this dog its vaccinations. Should have been very aware. It should have been evident that the dog had advanced distemper. There should have been no guesswork. The minute Dr. Gosney saw Bailey, he knew right away that she had advanced distemper. And Dr. Gage backed that up, and she was put to sleep. She died in my arms, and I told her I would see her again in heaven, because the Bible says the lion shall lay down with the lambs. And I know there's cold noses in heaven. One day I will stand before God and be accountable for what I have said and done. And I want him to say, Linda, you tried, job well done. We should treat every living thing the way we want to be treated. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Berg. Might also recommend that you find out the schedule for our Animal Services Advisory Board, and if you wish to visit with members of the Animal Services Advisory Board, that's the kind of thing, the kind of issues that they would take up. And one of the veterinarians, or Dr. Lance Cruz, is the veterinarian on that board, and so they are the actual group that reviews the policies and that for our animal shelter, and they make recommendations that along the lines of what you're asking for, that then they would, if they think there's a change to policy, then they can either make that within administrative guidelines, or if there's something that has to be brought to council, then that would be the group that would bring that to council. So you could contact City Secretary's office for a schedule of that meeting, and I'm sure you'd be welcome to attend that. They're open meetings, and bring that to them.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Thanks for taking the time to come here today. Next item on the agenda are proclamations and recognitions, and tonight we have 4 proclamations recognizing some very different events, but this is always a very busy time for us at the city in the springtime, so a lot of different activities going on. So our first recognition, let me ask Jackie Wormley, who is the event chair for the Relay for Life of Temple, to come forward, and anyone else that you have with you, please come up and join us. And Jackie, good to see you. Thanks. It's always a very big event in our community each year, so we appreciate all you've done for many, many years for Relay for Life. Let me present this proclamation, and I'll let you talk about Relay a little bit if you'd like to. Proclamation from the Office of the Mayor. Whereas Purple Ribbon Week is a special week set aside when everyone is encouraged to wear a purple ribbon to show their commitment to fighting cancer. Whereas the American Cancer Society sponsors Relay for Life 2011, and this event will take place locally beginning on April the 30th at Wildcat Stadium. The theme this year will be Wish Upon a Star. Whereas Relay for Life is a fun-filled overnight event designed to celebrate survivorship and raise money for research and programs of the American Cancer Society. And whereas Relay for Life represents the hope that those lost to cancer will never be forgotten, that those who face cancer will be supported, and that one day cancer will be eliminated. And now, therefore, I, William A. Jones III, Mayor of the City of Temple, do hereby proclaim the week of April 9th through 16th of 2011 as Purple Ribbon Week in the City of Temple, Texas. And I encourage all citizens to wear a purple ribbon during this week, which has been set aside to show everyone's commitment to fighting cancer. I further urge all citizens to support the Relay for Life 2011, which will take place April 30th through May 1st, 2011 at Wildcat Stadium. In testimony whereof I witness my hand and the seal of the City of Temple, Texas on this, the 7th day of April of 2011. Once again, Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And Chelsea, the relay.
For those of
You're good.
For those of you not familiar with Relay for Life, we're the signature fundraiser for the American Cancer Society. We're the catalyst that helps the American Cancer Society provide those services to people who've been touched by cancer and the support that caregivers need as they help a loved one through these journeys. We encourage all of you guys to come out on April the 30th. We've got some really fabulous entertainment lined up. It's like a carnival. There's all kinds of things to do. We'll be out there 16 hours because it's a labor of love. But what I'd like most to say tonight is how thankful I am that the City of Temple has gotten behind us as much as they have. 10 years ago when I started this, and Rhonda's been doing it for 13 years, 14 years, it took 20 minutes to explain what Relay for Life was. Nobody knew. Now you say Relay for Life and everybody knows. And it's in no small part because of the efforts of women like this. We have, and men, sorry, Chip. We raised $105,000 last year. This year we'll raise $125,000. And as federal funding gets cut, the cancer research may be cut. For those of you who aren't aware, Scott and White has a tremendous research facility, and right now there's a doctor over there that thinks that he has a cure for triple-negative breast cancer. He needs $5 million to see that to fruition. And we can do that for him if we all come together. You guys are lucky tonight because this week we'll be selling purple ribbons for $1, but we have one here for everybody, and we ask that you wear it and wear purple. See, Claudette did that in honor of us. And so, and we will be at Blooming Temple. We'll be selling popcorn and pickles. So stop by our booth, buy a purple ribbon, and buy some pickles and popcorn. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Jackie. And Relay is a fun evening. There are a lot of things going on, a lot of food.
Everything for the whole family?
Just for everybody. There's everything. Every kind of entertainment, games, food will be sold. It will be a good time to be had by all.
As long as you come out and enjoy it.
Participate.
That's right. Next is proclamation for Absolutely Incredible Kids Day. This is a recognition of some really spectacular young people, and I look forward to this every year, and we'll see you at the luncheon, Karen. So Karen Allman and a couple of young Campfire girls are here this evening to receive a proclamation. Whereas Campfire USA Tejas Council will sponsor Absolutely Incredible Kid Day on April 14th of 2011. Whereas Campfire USA Tejas Council has issued a call to action asking every adult in America to write a letter to a child or children on that day. And whereas Campfire USA Tejas Council has established the goal that every child receive a letter on April 14th of 2011. Whereas through contemporary programs and by speaking out on issues affecting youth and their families, Campfire USA Tejas Council helps youth cope with their changing world. And whereas Campfire USA Tejas Council is commended for the invaluable programs offered to young people in Temple, Texas, and for the many services that these young people perform for their community through Campfire. And now therefore I, William A. Jones III, Mayor of the City of Temple, Texas, do hereby proclaim April 14th of 2011 as Absolutely Incredible Kid Day in the City of Temple, Texas. And I urge all citizens to join with Campfire USA Tejas Council in its efforts to encourage every adult in America to write a letter to a child or children on this special day to let them know they are special, loved, and important. In testimony whereof, I witness my hand in the seal of the City of Temple on this, the 7th day of April of 2011. Karen, thanks for all the great work you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Want to tell us a little bit about Kids Day?
Thank you.
All right, good. You got it.
Well, these young ladies who are members of Campfire and have been since really before they were born, because they have older brother and sister that are 18 and 16 that were in also. So they've been selling candy and doing all the Campfire things since they were little. They're going to pass out to everyone in here. I hope we have enough a envelope and a piece of stationery and a sticker that says, "I'm an absolutely incredible kid," that if you know an incredible kid that you would like to write a letter to, can be grandchild, niece, nephew, neighbor, if you just know someone, and they're all incredible, but if you've got one that you particularly feel needs to be told how special they are, because the written word never goes away, then please do so. And girls, go ahead and start passing these out. And we are, this is Faith T-Pole, I'm sorry, and this is Janet T-Pole. And I wanted to introduce them, and their mom, Cindy T-Pole, is right here too. But let me also tell you, and Mayor Jones, bless you, and Claudette's Hart, and some other people that have been here nearly every year when I've talked about this, you're going to have to hear the same thing pretty much that you have before. But in 1997, Campfire USA decided to start an Absolute Incredible Kid Day, encouraging adults to write letters to kids. And our district here in the Bell, Coryell, Falls County area, a few years ago, about actually 12 to be exact, decided to take this step and make it an expanded event, and to send out nomination forms to local schools and organizations and advertise in the paper for nominations. And then from those nominations, an independent committee selects 10 youngsters who are not more necessarily incredible than other kids, because all kids are incredible, but that may need some recognition to let people know what they do through extraordinary community service, or maybe just on a daily basis having a positive influence in other people's lives. And so we started our Absolutely Incredible Kids Celebration. Like I said, this will be our 12th one at the Expo Center, the Sibley Hall, this coming Thursday, April 14th, from 11:30 to 1. And we are so excited because we've got another slate of great kids, and then we also have some adults who have been champions for youth through their life's work. One of them is Marilyn Hoster, the retired Temple ISD school superintendent. Another one is Pete Fredenberg, the UMHB football coach, and then another one is from the Killeen area, Marvin Rainwater, who's a longtime principal in that area. And then we're also recognizing this year the Scott and White Children's Hospital, because of all that they have done for kids and will be doing as they open this new hospital this fall. So if any of you are interested in attending, it's a very inspiring event, and I look around and see several of you that have been able to come nearly every year. Then give us a call, 773-6614, and say, hey, I want to be put on the list. So, and I'll be happy to give you information. But thank you all so very much, and thank you for how this community has always, and our city council supported Campfire USA. We surely appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Karen. We will see you there. Our next proclamation is to recognize Earth Day in Temple. So I ask the Executive Director of Keep Temple Beautiful, the award-winning Keep Temple Beautiful. You can tell us about that too, can't you? Good. Tanya Gray, welcome. Good to see you wearing your purple ribbon. Proclamation from the Office of the Mayor. Whereas the first Earth Day was celebrated on April 22nd of 1970 with the goal of inspiring environmental awareness and encouraging the beautification, protection, and appreciation of our nation's natural resources. Whereas it is the responsibility of each of us to safeguard the environment by recognizing that all human life depends upon the earth and upon one another for our mutual existence, well-being, and development. Whereas the steps Keep Temple Beautiful takes in conjunction with the City of Temple, Keep America Beautiful, Keep Texas Beautiful, to protect and preserve our natural environment through education, partnerships, and positive actions are encouraged in Temple, Texas. Whereas Keep Temple Beautiful and the citizens of Temple are committed not only to the protection and preservation of our environment, but also to the restoration of ecosystems and habitat. Whereas Keep Temple Beautiful, the City of Temple, citizens, and organizations work to develop and implement regulations and ordinances specifically designed to preserve and improve Temple's community and the quality of life therein. And whereas Keep Temple Beautiful proudly recognizes all who participate in Earth Day for their dedication in taking a proactive role towards shaping the future of our environment. And now, therefore, I, William A. Jones III, Mayor of the City of Temple, Texas, with great pride do hereby proclaim April 22nd of 2011 as Earth Day in the City of Temple, Texas. and I encourage all citizens to be mindful about local, state, and national laws which protect our environment, and to join in efforts to preserve the beauty and wonder of the land, skies, and water of the earth in all its diversity. In testimony whereof I witness my hand and the seal of the city of Temple, Texas, on this 7th day of April of 2011. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tanya Gray, and I'm the Executive Director for Keep Temple Beautiful. This year, we have several Earth Day events that I'm inviting the public to. One of those events is an e-recycling event that will occur on April 16th. It is in conjunction with Earth Day, but it is in collaboration with Kennedy Powell Elementary, Cinco Services, Acer Services Corporation, and Keep Temple Beautiful. So for this particular event, it will be held at Kennedy Powell Elementary from 9 to 12 on that Saturday. And you can bring all of your electronic things that you don't want to get rid of, hanging around in and around your house, and you just go ahead and bring it to us. We'll recycle it for you. Siegel Electronics is out of Austin, and they're doing this free of charge for the city of Temple. So this is an awesome event. Normally, you have to pay a lot to recycle your electronics. We're giving this to the public for free. If you would like to see what you can actually bring to the recycling event, then you can check our website at keeptemplebeautiful.org or cincoer.com for all of the things that you can bring to this particular event. Now, this Saturday, the City of Temple is actually having a tire event from 9 to 12, and that's at West Temple Community Park. And so you guys can bring up to 8 tires. You have to bring your water bill as well, and they will accept those free of charge. Trinity, Holy Trinity, is actually having an event as well. Theirs is actually going to be on April 20th, and it will be an event at their school, and it will be for everyone to see. They have an interesting thing that they have going on. They're learning and teaching the kids in regards to the environment. So the kids have a lot of good things to show their parents as well as the public. We also will have Temple Tire Mill actually at the event as well, and they will be there if you have anything that you need to have recycled, and they will take that free of charge. So I'm inviting all of you to come out and join us. This is all on Keep Temple Beautiful's website for any of the recycling materials that you want to bring to the April 16th event. You can go on cincoer.com and take a look at those as well. And the mayor was talking about the Governor's Community Achievement Award. I am very proud to announce that the City of Temple, Keep Temple Beautiful, has actually won this award, and we're very proud to be part of this community. We're very proud of all of the organizations that have played a part in this. This particular award was $250,000. It will be presented to us in June in Austin. And so we're very proud of it. It is an environmental award, and it is the most prestigious award an organization can actually win. So we thank all of you for the City of Temple and all of the other organizations who actually just helped to let citizens of Texas know that we are the best of the best. Thank you. They're telling me to tell you about Project and we do that every year. It is a contest amongst the elementary schools, and they are very competitive to the point that it is extremely scary. Last year, we had 2 of the principals competing with this award, and one had to actually dress up in a banana suit. So, I have blackmail pictures of that one, but phone book recycling contest, we do it every year. It's what we do in conjunction with AT&T. We have been doing it. This is on the 18th year that we have been doing this with the schools. So it's a huge recycling event, and we ask that the public get involved, bring your phone books or take your phone books. to any of the elementary schools because they're just going to take them out of the dumpsters that are located at HEB and Walmart. And so they win first, second, and third places with this. And the money that we provide to them, they actually have to develop some type of environmental program or project and make sure that is implemented at the school. So it is a wonderful event. It actually is ending on Monday, and we will be tallying up the number of phone books. So it is a wonderful event, and just check out our website at www.keeptemplebeautiful.org, and you can see all of the wonderful things going on in your city. Thank you.
And one last proclamation. I've asked Councilmember Danny Dunn to make this presentation. I think it's very appropriate given his profession, and it's to recognize another special event going on in our area. If Ms. Beth Correa could please come forward. She's the regional planner for the Central Texas Council of Governments.
I hold in my hand a proclamation from the office of the mayor. Whereas Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act 1968, as amended, prohibits discrimination in housing and declares it a national policy to provide within constitutional limits for fair housing in the United States. Whereas the principle of fair housing is not only national law and national policy, but a fundamental human concept and entitlement for all Americans. And whereas the National Fair Housing Law during the month of April provides an opportunity for all Americans to recognize that complete success in the goal of equal housing opportunity can only be accomplished with the help and cooperation of all Americans. Now, therefore, William A. Jones III, Mayor of the City of Temple, Texas, does hereby proclaim April 2011 as Fair Housing Month in the City of Temple, Texas, and I encourage all citizens to become aware and support the Fair Housing Law. In testimony whereof, the mayor is signed with the City of Temple, Texas, this the 7th day of April 2011. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Beth. Make any comments?
If you wouldn't mind.
I just don't mind at all.
Okay, thank you.
Also, because of Fair Housing Month, we just want y'all to be aware that there's going to be a free event over at the Central Texas Council of Governments. We do this yearly. There's a Fair Housing open house, and if you know of anyone who might be interested in this program, we'll have booths in our lobby, and if there's anybody who needs information on low-income housing or low-interest home rates or things of this nature, please send them on over on the 21st of April from 10 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll have an array of folks there to help you out. Thank you very much.
It's Beth. Good idea. Thanks to everyone for taking the time to be here for these proclamations, these special events in our community. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Citizens who desire to address the council on any matter may sign up to do so prior to the meeting. Public comments are received during this portion of the meeting. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. No discussion or final action will be taken by the council on these items. Our first speaker is Mr. Benny Trevino. Mr. Trevino.
My name is Benny Trevino. I live at 1003 South 13th Street. I'm a writing candidate for the city councilman's job. My main agenda is not the election itself as far as city council. I would like to see the school bond issue passed. Because for me, all of my kids are out of school. I still have grandkids and great-grandkids. But I would like to see have a decent building so they can be educated. And if we can't, I know it's going to raise our taxes, but like I said, I've got kids, and I don't mind having to pay the increased taxes if my kids have got a decent place for what they can learn. And I'm 100% behind this, so that, I'm making that my main issue as far as my campaign is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. Next on our agenda is Mr. Milton Hensley. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Milton Hensley. I live 301 Mitchell Drive in Temple. First thing I want to bring to your attention, how about them Texas Ag girls? Oh, I got to say, thank you for letting me say that. I have a concern about the mowing of the right-of-ways. 3 questions. The first one is, will the city receive any compensation from the state? The second question, was it considered to have local individuals to have the opportunity to do this mowing? These 2 questions have been answered by my councilman, and I'm satisfied with the answer. The third one is, will the wildflower, it says in the paper that it's going to be on a schedule, a 2-week or so schedule on some of the prominent places. Are the wildflowers going to be considered in this schedule of mowing? In the past, the state more or less, and mostly less, had any consideration of the seeding of the wildflowers. On North 3rd and Industrial Loop out in there, they mowed the wildflowers, the bluebonnet. We had beautiful, beautiful bluebonnets, and we had a large area of white bluebonnets. They mowed these before they went to seed, and it's just ruined them. No more. I ask that if this will be taken into consideration in the mowing schedule, from what the paper stated, and thank you for having the article, it said that there's going to be on a regular continuing basis, and this does not, it's not conducive to wildflowers. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Hensley. That concludes our public comments for the evening. We'll move into our regular agenda. The consent agenda is the next item. All items listed under this section, consent, are considered to be routine by the City Council and may be enacted by one motion. If discussion is desired by the council, any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of a council member, and it will be considered separately. Council, your pleasure. This is item 5A through R, I believe, this evening. Are there any items that you wish to be removed for consideration or for voting? And if not, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda, item 5A through R.
Motion to approve consent agenda item 5A through R.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? There being none, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Dean?
Aye.
Councilmember James?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Next item in the regular agenda is the first reading and a public hearing. Consider adopting an ordinance designating a certain area as the City of Temple Tax Abatement Reinvestment Zone Number 20 for commercial industrial tax abatement. Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. In Texas, tax abatement is governed by Chapter 312 of the Tax Code, and that chapter requires that for property to be considered for tax abatement, that it must lie within the boundaries of a tax abatement reinvestment zone. The item that you have on the agenda, the ordinance for first reading and a public hearing, designates an area that's located in the city's southeast industrial park, just south of Lorraine Drive. It's a portion of a 250-acre tract that is owned by Panda Energy as a tax abatement reinvestment zone, and it does require a public hearing tonight. The proposed ordinance does designate that area for commercial or industrial tax abatement. The ordinance makes 2 findings that we're asking you to make tonight. One is that the creation of a tax abatement reinvestment zone for that area will result in benefits to the city and to the land during the term of the agreement, and that the improvements being sought for the area are feasible. And second, that the tax abatement reinvestment zone meets the criteria for reinvestment zones established by the state in Chapter 312 and by your own criteria and guidelines for tax abatement. I have reviewed the property in consideration in the tax abatement agreement for that, which will be presented to you upon the second reading as a separate item for approval, and do recommend and believe that the creation of a reinvestment zone there will lead to the creation of new jobs for that area and new real and personal property improvements in the area that are contemplated by both by state law and our local criteria. And for those reasons, we do recommend approval of the ordinance on first reading, and you need to conduct a public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Council, any questions on the item? There being none, this item is posted for a public hearing. I'll declare the public hearing open at this time. Anyone wishing to speak before the council on this item, please come forward and state your name and address for the record prior to making your comments. Seeing no one wishing to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Council, your pleasure. Item 6 on the first reading.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion to second for approval of the ordinance designating a certain area of Temple as tax abatement reinvestment zone number 20. If there's no further discussion, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Dunn.
Aye.
Councilmember Jansen.
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye. Item 7 is a first reading and a public hearing. Consider adopting an ordinance authorizing a conditional use permit allowing a package store on a portion of lots 11, 12, and 13, Block 25, Roach Addition, commonly known as 313 East Central Avenue, Zone Central Area District. Ms. Spear.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am filling in for Mr. Mabry, and I'm pleased to announce he had a very healthy baby girl, in case you all were wondering. This request is for a package store at East Central and Martin Luther King Boulevard. It's an existing site. It's a retail store right now that has 3 facilities. One is being used currently as a convenience store at the east side of the building. This slide shows you, this was mentioned in work session, the proximity of the package store that was recently approved in the fall of last year. The arrow on the top of the image is where the recently approved package store is, and then the yellow area, the yellow rectangle shows where this site is. So it is very close. It's right across the street. These images, and they're in your packet as well, they illustrate the vacant uses around the property, I believe, and that some redevelopment in this area would be positive in any nature. The proposed site plan does quite a bit for improvements to the site. They began by adding 9 new parking spaces down on the south portion of the site in this area. This is not part of the existing site right now. They also turned the 4 head-end spaces on the street on East Central into 4 parallel spaces. They have freed up area to provide landscaping along all portions of the building. They've taken the dumpster and included an enclosure and relocated that there. They're also adding 4 decorative street lamps, the acorn lamps that we have, the city's already put on the site, on the entry and in the landscaped area. So we do believe that this will be quite an improvement to the actual site plan. Proposed elevation improvements include repairing the existing canopy and repainting it. They have also agreed to remove the burglar bars for this specific location. There was a request to give them some time to do that. There is a specific condition in the planning and zoning recommendation that gave them 1 year to do that from the CO. This map illustrates the notification boundary. We did receive 2 responses against the proposed CUP and 1 in favor. The approval criteria for conditional use permits for package stores is laid out very specifically in the ordinance, and essentially the use cannot be, it has to be compatible with the surrounding uses. It cannot significantly impair property values surrounding it. You have to maintain normal and orderly development of the surrounding property, safe and convenient movement of vehicular and pedestrian traffic, make sure that no nuisances are created as to odor, lighting, things of that nature, and that directional lighting does not adversely affect the neighbors. In this instance, staff did recommend approval. The Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval unanimously on March 7th at their public hearing as well. They did include the 1 condition that I already mentioned, that the burglar bars could be removed within 12 months of the CO. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. The applicants are here as well.
Sir, we'll have the public hearing shortly, and then you can make comment or ask questions. Thank you, Ms. Spear. Council, any questions that you have? There being none, this item requires a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak before the council on this item, please come forward and state your name and address for the record prior to making your comments. Go to the podium, sir. Thank you.
Again, my name is Danny Trevino. I live at 1003 South 13th Street. My question is, what is the square footage of the building? And at what cost is the building? You didn't mention none of those facts. We'd like to know, and what type of tax are we looking as far as the city is concerned from that property? You gain from it?
The square footage of the building is approximately 1,700 square feet. As to the dollar value of the improvements, they would have to pull a building permit, and I do not have that information available.
What is the cost of the square footage that you're fixing to make improvements on?
You would have to ask the applicants that, sir.
Okay. That's all that I had. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak? If you'd please go up there, state your name and address, and you're welcome to answer that if you'd like, sir. Good evening. Thank you for being here.
Good evening. My name is Muhammad Nurul Usman, and I live in 406 Viramo Circle, Kyle, Texas 78640. The cost of this improvement will be right now $43,000. I have a bid in my hand. I contacted and got a bid. I'm going to check with one more contractor before proceeding, but it's going to be around $43,000 just for the construction and $12,500 to get the lot in the back of the store. And it's a 1,680 square feet store, yeah. If you want a copy.
No, that's okay. I just ask a question. I'm very familiar with construction, so that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Seeing no one else wishing to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Council, any comments or other questions prior to consideration? If not, I'll entertain a motion on this item. There is no motion on this item tonight, and so this will come back in the subsequent council meeting for the next reading, and actually, under the first reading, does it not come back without any action?
Without any action, without some further direction, we can come.
Okay. I have a problem that we kill this without a full council. I'd rather just table, if I could ask. I don't think the applicant deserves to not get a hearing on the item.
I would make a motion to table this until we have the opportunity to discuss it more fully.
Yeah, because we don't even know the status of the other applicant, and it's some concern as far as the other liquor store, which that applicant is not, or that person who received the CUP, we don't know the status of their particular store and that, so, and I know it's a concern, but obviously this applicant's gone to great expense already and is willing to make a significant commitment to the area and to the downtown community, particularly on Martin Luther King. So I would hope they at least get a fair hearing out of it, and so is there a second on the motion to table? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. So we have a motion to second to table this item till subsequent council meeting, and if there's no further discussion, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Dunn.
Aye.
Councilmember
Aye.
Johnson. Mayor Jones.
Aye. Thank you. So this will come back at a future meeting when we'll have full council here. Sorry that we didn't this evening, sir. The next item is a first reading and a public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance abandoning all of North 5th Street between West Downs Avenue and West Calhoun Avenue, located between blocks 27 and 28 of Moore's Addition, and reserving a public drainage and utility easement in the entire abandonment right-of-way. Ms. Spear.
Thank you. This request came from First Christian Church, and they have requested that the city consider abandoning this portion of the street to their church. We would maintain a blanket utility easement on the property. We did send this out to utility providers. The fire department has expressed some concerns, making sure that they want to maintain adequate access to get out of the new central fire station. And so we do leave this up to you all. This is an aerial of the image of the street that would be abandoned. It's an approximately 80 by 210-foot area, and it would be $5,000. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Pretty well, Ed. Okay. Council, any questions that you have on
The utility easements remain whatever
Yes, sir.
they're...
Yes, sir.
And to the best of my knowledge, there's no plans to put buildings across there or anything at this point?
No, they would not be able to do that.
Okay.
The church owns the property on both sides of the street.
Correct.
Great. This item requires a public hearing, and I'll declare the public hearing open at this time. Anyone wishing to speak before the council on this item, please come forward and state your name and address for the record prior to making your comment. Welcome, Dr. Knight.
Thank you. My name is Wade Knight. I live at 504 West Nugent. I'm here in the capacity of chairman of the board of the First Christian Church. The building on the right, we know is most of us in the room would know is the old soil and water conservation building. The church was able to acquire that building recently, and it even now is being renovated to be a youth center. Immediately on the left side is the entrance to the preschool, and so we're anticipating youth and young people back and forth across this street, and so this is a safety item for us as opposed to a land grab or something like that. And so we would like to close off that street, not entirely. We still want to have access to the parking, so we're not anticipating closing the street entirely, but not having through traffic through there, so that it'll make it safer for the youth to go back and forth between the two facilities. In response to the fire department concerns that have been expressed, even before we bought this building, my wife and I sat with the chief and discussed with him before the fire department built the new building what impact it would have, and I don't want to speak for the chief, but I'll just have to summarize it as he did not have particularly severe concerns. He was not at the meeting where the concerns were expressed by another member of the fire department administration. I've since spoken with the chief again. He encouraged us to push ahead with this project, and the fire department exits out onto 3rd Street, which is over here, and the access to the, yes, that's a nice view. The access to the fire station from 3rd Street would be upon their return, and there shouldn't be any blockage of their access of their vehicles into the backside of the fire station. It's just a matter of anybody, if they're coming down 3rd, they would pull in on Calhoun and pull in from the backside. If they're coming from the other direction, again, they pull in, whether it's on Broadway or Calhoun or wherever, they pull in from 5th Street, and there's no impairment of their access. The chief did express some concern in wake of the recent disaster at the Baptist Church. Wanted to make sure that we didn't in any way impair access to the church putting out a fire. And we certainly have no intention to do that. And planning has already mentioned to you that we have really no intention whatsoever of building on this property. But it's merely limiting traffic and making it safer for the youth. And I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Dr. Knight. Any questions for Dr. Knight about the project? Thank you very much, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak before the council on this item? Seeing no one wishing to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Council, your pleasure on the abandoning of Fifth Street as described. Motion to approve. Second. Motion is second. Is there further discussion? There being none, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Dean.
Aye.
Councilmember James.
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye. Item 8 is a first and final reading and a public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance validating the petition submitted by the Temple Police Association and ordering a special charter amendment election for May the 14th of 2011 to be considered on an emergency basis. Mr. Grant.
Mayor, members of the council, thank you. On April 1st, the city secretary received a petition filed by the Temple Police Association requesting an amendment to the city charter, setting that process in motion. In order for a petition to be valid under the applicable statutes, it was required to contain 5% of the qualified voters as determined by the Bell County Voter Registrar, and that, in our case, the city of Temple worked out to 1,482 signatures. Working through the weekend, our city secretary was able to verify the petition, and based on that, had placed this item on your agenda for first and final reading and a public hearing today to call that election, with the attempt to call an election for our May 14th election, which is a uniform election date. This week, in consultation with the Secretary of State's office about whether we had sufficient notice and public notice whether to call an election, to add an election at this point in time to that date, we have determined that we lack sufficient time and that it's governed by the more general provision rather than the provision that we were relying on in the local government code. And based on that, our recommendation is that you take no action today to call a May election. However, the petition received by the city secretary does contain the required number of signatures. She's notified the petitioners that she finds the petition is valid, and we will be bringing forward and you are required to open that public hearing, but the staff recommendation is to take no action on the ordinance that you have in the packet because of the lack of sufficient notice to the public. And I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Grant. Questions from the council?
And just to confirm, your recommendation is based on the guidance from the Texas Secretary of State?
That is correct, sir.
Other questions? Being none, I'll declare the public hearing open at this time. If anyone wishes to speak before the council on this item, please come forward and state your name and address for the record prior to making your comments. Seeing no one wishing to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed, and at the recommendation of council, there will be no action taken on this item. Next item on the agenda is board appointments. Consider adopting a resolution appointing members to the following city boards and commissions. We have two positions to fill this evening. The first is one member to the library board to fill an unexpired term through September 1st of 2011. And council, if it's your pleasure, I'd recommend Ms. Jean Kubala to fill that position. And we can take both these items together if you'd like. And the next one is Planning and Zoning Commission, one member to fill an unexpired term through September 1st of 2011. And I entertain a motion or a recommendation for an individual to fill that position.
I would recommend that David Jones be nominated to fill that position.
Okay, very good. So we have two recommendations, one Jean Kubala to fill library board position and Mr. David Jones to fill the Planning and Zoning Commission. And I'll entertain a motion for those two individuals to fill the boards as indicated.
I move that the nominating ballot be the electing ballot in item 10 of the ordinance.
And we have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Motion is second. Any further discussion? There being none, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Dean.
Aye.
Councilmember James.
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that concludes our agenda this evening. Thank you very much for being here. We are adjourned.